Today, I have a special guest, and we are going to be talking about personal empowerment through body movement. Welcome to the Fit Body, Fit Spirit podcast. I'm your host, Ujo Wadjet, and this podcast is about exploring self awareness and personal transformation through the lens of proactive wellness, spirituality, intuitive health, and mysticism. I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell me who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Sure. I am Malik Turley, and I am the founder and executive director of Hip Circle Empowerment Center. And our mission is through dance, fitness, and community, we empower all women and girls to believe they are strong, beautiful, and worthy of attention. So, what that means in real life is we bring women together in community. So, there's that piece to move their bodies through dance or fitness and do so in a way that celebrates who they are right then and uncovers for them the strength that they have. So we're not creating that strength. We are showing them how strong they already are. And we are physically located in Evanston, right on the border of Evanston and Rogers Park. Though now, with our pandemic times, we are all virtual. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can come and take classes with us. And we've been doing this work for 11 years, and we've been a nonprofit for 4. Yeah.
That is amazing. I am so excited to be talking to you today because, as you know, I'm a personal trainer and a wellness coach. And so, body movement has been something that's been a part of my life for a long time. And throughout my own journey, I have found, before the certifications and all this other stuff, just finding ways to move my body, to connect with my body um, through physical movement, through strength training, through yoga, and really that has been my journey. Has is finding out, or it's actually more of a remembering, like, oh, wait a minute, all this stuff, like I became so much more confident. Like that's what really was transformative in my own personal journey of just finding this confidence that I didn't realize that I had because I felt so connected to my body. And I feel like, especially in the fitness and wellness industry, everything can feel so like vanity based, and it's so much more than that. Like people are looking for like these vanity metrics of like what they want to look physically, but really it's about the inner work. And I feel that is what personal empowerment is about. And I would love to know how you define personal empowerment and what your journey has been.
I I love hearing that. I definitely feel that empowerment comes from inside. It's not something that anyone can hand you. So even though it's in our name, right, Hip Circle Empowerment Center, we don't give out empowerment cookies or anything. It's not like that. It's something that you have to feel. And I think right now, women especially, and that's my focus area. I don't spend a whole lot of time uh, thinking about men. I am married to one. I've created one, but my focus is on women. We're really disconnected from ourselves, and I think some of that is because of the vanity metrics that we are conditioned to care about, and some of that is the other patriarchal societal um, influences that ask us or make it clear that we are supposed to want to be as small as possible and take up as least the least amount of space possible and be the least amount of trouble. And so for me, empowerment means realizing that I am allowed to take up whatever amount of space I want to take up in whatever setting. That could be physical space, that could be emotional space, that could be intellectual space, that I don't have to make myself smaller in any category. That I have value, I have intrinsic value just by being, that isn't related to anything. It's not related to what my profession is. It's not related to what my family structure is. It's not related to what my physical container is. I have value, period. Um, so that's to me that's what empowerment means, that we know that we have that value. We know that we are designed to take up space, and then doing that, right? Like living that value and using that space that we take up. But the first step really is recognizing that those things are real, that we get to do those things. So
Absolutely. And I feel like I have not been to your physical location yet. For those of you that don't know, I am located in Chicago, and Evanston is right next to Chicago. So it's a very local location, but I haven't been there yet. I will be whenever this whole thing, whatever's going on with that. But um, one of the things you mentioned, like with personal empowerment, it is this internal thing, but I love that you create the space, you create this environment for women, for girls to feel safe enough to explore that. And I don't think we have enough of that. I know we don't have enough of that.
we absolutely don't. We don't at all. And it is partly feeling safe enough. Part of it also is being challenged to do it, though,
That part.
right? Because um, it's so ingrained. All of those messages are so ingrained that a woman will come to class and she'll say things that have been put into her from mainstream, from society, and not even realize that she's like caught in that diet culture, caught in that patriarchy, until whatever she's just said is challenged. So yes, it's a safe space for exploration. We do push. If you come to class and you say, "Oh, I can't do that," we're gonna challenge you and say, "We don't actually use that word here. What is it that you want or need to be able to do that thing?"
Yes.
Oh, well, I need a prop, or I need support, or I need whatever. Okay, well, now we have something we can work with, right? But even just that, even just minimizing what your capabilities are, is buying into that message.
That is so true. That is so
So
true.
yeah, so it's safe with a dash of challenge in there.
Yes, to feel like, I feel like, I know I've been in situations where being challenged, and I do this as well with my clients and people that I work with, like having that resistance is essential, right? Because then it's, because if you're not being challenged, sometimes you don't even realize that it's a thing. And because of the societal conditioning from birth, literally in so many ways, um, it just seems normal. And I've been in situations where these things have been normalized for how we're supposed to view ourselves and our bodies. And sometimes the challenge, even in my own personal experience, has been like, why are you using this language? Why are you doubting yourself, or feeling like you are weak, or feeling like you are less than, or that you can't do something? Um, and it's really about reframing the language, reframing the conversation, reframing the "I can't" to, well, what can you do?
Or
And
what do you need? Like, what's triggering that idea of can't? This is
yes,
the most I've said that word in years. But what's triggering that idea? And what does it take? What would it take to make whatever the thing is true? We are so, as a culture, and this is everybody. We're so afraid of failure that we will choose not to even attempt it if we don't think we can succeed, right? So we don't even, it's like we're 3 steps behind. We're not even considering what it would take to do XYZ because we're not sure we can do it. So it's safer to just say, "Oh, I I can't do burpees. Like,
Yes. And
can we
on the other
can
end,
we change it? Like, can we break it down? Can we do one part of it? And then once you see you can do one part of it, maybe you can do two and three and four. And then before you know it, you're doing the burpee and teaching somebody else how to do it, or being that person to go, I felt like that too, but this is the steps. These are the steps that I took to meet that goal. Or do you not want to do the burpee, which is also okay? But own that choice that I'm choosing not to do. No, I will not do the burpee. What
yes.
else can I do right now? Because I will not do that.
Right.
Different than I can't do it. Right.
That's very different. And you
So
don't have to do a burpee to feel strong or to feel accomplished. I personally hate burpees. I
yeah,
can't stand
they're
them.
not my favorite either.
Yeah.
But
But but yeah, it's one of those things where they're having, going back to the empowerment thing of using the right languages and saying, well, what do you choose to experience? What is a thing that allows you to feel that sense of just owning who you are, and having that confidence and having that strength, and just knowing who you are in that moment, and what knowing what you're capable of, and also having a choice of what you want to engage in. And it goes back into, using your voice. And I feel like, along with body movement kind of being stifled and being hidden, sometimes it's speaking, using your voice, and that's another aspect of personal empowerment as well.
mm-hmm. we everything we do at Hip Circle is subtle, and it's built into a burpee, or it's built into learning how to shimmy in belly dance, or it's built into getting into Warrior Three in a yoga class. um, we don't have like empowerment classes, right? But it's all designed around creating that space where where you can challenge and be challenged by those ideas, those ingrained ideas. And um, we have a saying that I made up early on in Hip Circle, that you are the mistress of your own mat, right? And so I say that at the beginning of class, and remind folks in the middle. And where it came from was the idea that, if you and I do Warrior Three, I'll use that as an example. It's going to look different, right? You and I are different people. You and I have different experiences with that pose, and you and I had a different day, right? Like, I had one of those blissful days where everything went right, and you had a day where you were bumping up against stuff. Like, everything you did, there was a barrier, and we both get to class. We're not going to do the same Warrior Three, right? And the person next to you, who maybe is recovering from a stroke, isn't going to have the same Warrior Three, right? So it doesn't. There's so many reasons why that pose would be different, but we are each the mistress of our own mat. So we're going to do it our way, and based on what we need that time. That is an idea born in the physical, right? Born in being in your body and focusing your attention on yourself and not worrying about the others. It carries over into, you're the mistress of your own mat. If you're in a meeting and someone challenges your idea, you get to use that voice. You get to push back, or you get to point out that idea that gentleman over there had was the same thing that you said half an hour ago that nobody listened to, because it came out of a woman's mouth, or it came out of a brown woman's mouth, or what have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The idea that we are in control, we are in charge of our mat. And maybe that's the only rectangle we get to control, but we're totally in control of that, and practicing that. So if you can make your own choice when you're doing Warrior Three, you can make your own choice sitting at that board meeting table, and you can make your own choice, at the hair salon, when your hairdresser's like, you should do this, and you're like, nope, I want my hair to look like that, and so this is what we're gonna do. But just that practice, the practice of exercising that choice and exercising that voice in the safety of a dedicated space like our hip circle, or the safety of the tiny space of your mat, or whatever your like space in class, gives you the practice that you need and the confidence to go and do that out in the world.
I think that's such an important key thing about the benefits of body movement, and how when you find this, when you access this thing, when you remember that you have this, how it can positively influence every other aspect of your life because it's within you. It's not this thing that is only limited to this 1 hour block of time, or this 30-minute block of time, or whatever you're engaging in body movement, that it can carry and exude throughout your life and your day. Um, and sometimes, some of the things that you were sharing, about like being able to use that voice in the boardroom and these other places. um, Sometimes there is this fear or this apprehension of like, oh, what are these people going to think of me if I use my voice? And when you start to, at least from my experience, the more confident I became, the more I didn't care about other people, what other people thought about me. I just didn't care. It's like, okay, like, that's great. If you want to think of me in this way, that's perfectly fine, whatever. I'm still going to say what I have to say, because I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid to be seen in any other, in any way. Like, you have your perception of me, but because I have this confidence, I have a better understanding of who I am. And I'm just unbothered. I don't know. That's been my experience. What's been your experience with that?
Definitely that switching over to being more focused on my intention in the moment, or my goal, rather than on other people's experience of me. That's part of it. Another part of it is going back to the community aspect of what we're doing. You are, you're on your mat, you're the mistress of your own mat, but you do or say or whatever, and there's other people in the room. There's other people in the class who are reacting to you, who are experiencing you, and you are experiencing them experiencing you. So you get to practice and say, I have this feeling. And then the person next to you goes, really? Interesting. And you're like, wait, the world didn't stop. Even though I brought forth this feeling, this idea, this whatever, everything's still okay. Huh. That's probably what happens out in the world, but I'm not noticing it. Right.
Yes.
So there's that practice piece. In terms of the body part, the embodiment, getting into our bodies in a fitness class, or again, a dance or movement, whatever, gives us that physical experience that we do carry with us, right? We know, science knows that we hold trauma in the body, like physically we hold it in our body. We know that we hold stress in our body physically. There's no reason to think that we don't also hold the good stuff in our body, right? So if we
Yeah.
are moving our body, which is going to shake loose some of that stress and some of that trauma and all that stuff, and are having positive messaging and positive experiences happening at the same time, we get to carry those with us too, which is going to change how we sit in that meeting, which is going to change how we stand in line, and our posture, our presence has an impact on how the world interacts with us, right? So if I have the experience of sitting up tall in Dandasana, right? If you're seated with your legs out and you're sitting up nice and tall and you're totally open through your shoulders and you're having a conversation with the classmates about deep and meaningful things, or about whatever happened to you in the day, and that's fine. Everything goes fine. Then when you go home and you're going to talk to your mate about something, you're going to be more able to stay open and have that conversation here rather than here. Right?
Yes.
So we need that experience physically in our body, I think, in order to carry that out into the world. And then the other side of it is we do hold stuff in our body. So if we're moving in a space where we can let our feelings out and we can have our words received, our ideas heard, that can help us process some of that other stuff that we're carrying around in our bodies. So that's been my experience. I did not grow up moving at all. Quite the opposite. And it really wasn't until I was in my 30s when I started moving my body um, in a way that was pleasant, right? So like I definitely had in my 20s the I have to go work out because I have to lose weight or I have to do whatever. I had that kind of movement, which shockingly did not fuel me very much. Did not make me feel good, right?
Exactly.
Um, but I stumbled into a belly dance class in my early 30s, and that was the first time, the first place I had moved my body and had it be good. Had every movement that I made be seen as a positive, um, instead of something that I had to like mask or change or I wasn't viewed. It wasn't an experience of I'm coming to class to change my body. It was I'm coming to class to move my body.
Yes.
And that was huge. And I felt so good in my skin for the first time ever, like literally ever. I was 31. Yeah, 31 when I went to my first belly dance class. And it was completely transformative. And so that was the beginning of my realization that there was this connection between the environment in which we are moving our body, as
That
well
part.
as the ways in which we're moving our body. But like that class was this really idyllic thing. It was a community class. It was just, storefront, nothing fancy. The teacher was wonderful. The students were wonderful, and everybody was there for the same reason, to just move their body, just to enjoy. There was no competition. There was none of that. And I seriously, that is why I do what I do now. If I hadn't, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't found that class back in whatever year that would have been, 2002.
I'm so glad you shared that because me being in the fitness industry, there is a lot of money is made on that mindset of, oh, I have to, do like this, and I have to go, and it has to be hard, and it has to be, I have to not like it. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it's really about finding whatever way makes you feel good in your skin and in your body and that you actually enjoy. And this is something that I have been talking about for years now because I was seeing like this disconnect and hearing that same language of, oh, well, I have to go work out because I have to lose weight and I have to do this. It's like, but it's not going to be sustainable if you don't enjoy what you're doing. Anything that you're doing that you're wanting, if you're trying to find a way to find joy, to improve whatever way, like you can have specific goals and that's fine. But it doesn't have to be this torturous like thing, or you don't have to use this as a way to um like feel like, oh, like this is something that I actually hate doing. Like don't, if it's something that like everything in your body is like completely resisting and it just does not make you feel good, and you don't feel like, there's a difference with being challenged,
Right.
right? And working through certain levels of resistance, and or trying something new, and seeing if it works for you, versus every time you go to this thing like you're just dreading it, or you're using this as a form of punishment, which I've seen that as well. And I'm like on this mission to change the language around diet culture and around fitness culture, and just really especially for women, because I see it the most with women, and I primarily work with women as well. And it's like, if you want to, if you want to reach a specific result, or if you just want to find joy again, you just want to find a sense of freedom and movement and just have this connection. And I feel like that's what's most important, having a connection with your body, because like you mentioned earlier, like things are stored in your body. I'm very much a believer in that. I do energy work for people, and so I know where these things get held in, and you don't have to do Reiki to release energy that's stored in your body. You can move your body in a certain way, and it's just finding a way that works for you. And sometimes, whether it's a belly dancing class or um, if it's doing weight training, whatever the spectrum is, if it's just walking, right? It doesn't matter. I think the key point, the foundation is finding something that allows you to feel good in your body, and that allow you just like, man, like I really enjoy this. Or maybe you don't know how, maybe you just feel so different and you don't know how to articulate it yet, but it's like this doesn't suck. This
Right.
does not suck. Like maybe that's where you're at. Like
So we got to start there.
yeah.
This doesn't suck. That's a good beginning. Yeah, I think also part of the challenge is that so many of the goals that people have, again, focusing on women, are coming from that base of um, diet culture, patriarchy,
Yep.
um, and ultimately racism, right?
Yep.
And we wonder why they don't fit real well.
Mhm.
Like, well,
Mhm.
that'd be the equivalent of like having a goal set for you to hurt yourself, because that, I mean, that is what most of those goals turn into ultimately,
It
is
does.
self-harming, right? Like, and I know that sounds extreme, but if we really boil down to where that goal, whatever that goal is, where it came from, right? It if it's not a functional thing, if it's not that there's um, like, I had my favorite personal training client ever, um, was a woman who, um, her adult child, was expecting their first kid, and she wanted to be able to carry and hold her grandbaby, and she had some health issues that could have posed a huge barrier to that. So that was what her goal was. I want to be able to hold my grandchild, and we had the time, like, babies only take so long to grow, right? So we were on a fairly limited time frame
Yeah.
because the baby was going to come out and need to be held. But that was her motivation. That was why she came to training, not because she wanted to fit into a size whatever pair of pants, not because she needed the scale to say a certain number. It was a functional goal. I want to be able to walk up 6 flights of stairs so that I can live in any apartment. Okay, let's work on that.
Yes.
Those goals are not steeped in being told to make yourself small, or being told that you are not worthy as you are. And those goals, generally speaking, are pretty easy to to meet, because the motivation is um, genuine. It's a
Mhm.
genuine motivation. Whereas the size and shape goals that most people come to a fitness professional in search of are not inherent to them. They're not coming really from them. They're coming from these outside messages that are harmful. So I feel like I just went on a tangent with that, but I
Well, no, there was a good point there, because these are the things that I have noticed, and working with clients that have had these very specific goals of, I want to fit into this, or I want my body to look this way, right? I have gotten clients to that point and they're not happy.
Mhm.
And this was one of the things for me where they would say, like, I thought I would feel different. I thought that I thought I would feel different. I thought that I would like myself more. I thought that I would be able to do certain things, and I don't have that feeling that I thought. And so what I have learned, this was one of my one of my big aha moments of where I started bringing together this mind body spirit connection, and why I started to change how I coach and how I train, because I kept hearing the same thing. It's like, because they are people will expect, they think, okay, if this is my goal, and I want to get to this, like, you can have that goal, but why do you want to get there? What are you, because really what I have learned from my experience, it has been, most people are in search of a feeling. They're trying to get this result because they're wanting a feeling, they're wanting an experience. They want their partner to be more attracted to them. They want to feel better about themselves. They want to love themselves. They feel like they will feel more confident in themselves. And it's like, you have to start first loving who you are right now, and forgiving yourself for whatever you feel has gotten you to a point where you don't like yourself or love yourself, or whatever it is that you have resistance towards with yourself. Like, you have to understand that part first, and then get clear on what is it that you are really wanting to feel or experience. Because I've seen too many times, and I was just like, this something's missing here. It's like, you're trying to you're trying to tap into get to the physical result, but the emotional part is not catching up.
Right.
Because you're like ignoring all the other stuff. And I've seen that way too many times.
I think the the other piece of that is that the reason that they feel like when they get to that number on the scale, or they get to that size of clothing, that things will be better, is because that's the messaging that they're getting from society.
Absolutely.
That is what we're being sold. We're being sold that this is what a happy person looks like. See this person who has these statistics, they have everything. They have a doting mate, and they have the best job ever, and they have all of the friends they can stand. And see that person over there who doesn't look like that? It's because they're bad. If they were good like this, they'd have all that stuff too. So all you have to do to get from being bad to being awesome is get these statistics. And that is a huge lie, right?
It really is.
And we're starting to see folks who are publicly and they're publicly saying it and being listened to, because people have been saying it forever, but it's the listening that is lacking. We're starting to see different messages come out, so we're getting there, but until we give, and again, I'm going to focus on women, until we give women the space and experience to feel that ease, that self-ease and self-worth and whatnot, until we can have them get a glimmer of that feeling in the bodies they're in right now, it doesn't almost matter if the external messages shift, because it's so ingrained in our culture now. It is, if we have generational trauma, which they're figuring out, like it's going to be a few generations before, if we don't do anything else, before this, rights itself, right? So
that's so true.
Yeah, and I think also we are so cerebral, and getting more so. That's one thing with this pandemic. We are as a people less in our bodies because of the pandemic, because we're connecting on screens instead of in person. We are sitting more instead of moving, and it is bringing all of us up here instead of down here. And so the little bit of headway I feel like we were getting, like we were starting to gain traction, and now we've slid back a few steps. But just like with conditioning, once you've done it once, it's easier to get there again. So I think we'll get there, but it's work. It's work to go against that grain. It's work to hold on to your self-worth when the people around you are challenged or threatened by you, and so want to put you back in the little container that was better for them for you to be in. You know, it takes a lot
Yeah,
of energy to
it does.
keep
And
going.
yeah, everything that's been going on in society, speaking, we've been talking about societal conditioning, and
Mhm.
it plays a role too. And, the weather is going to be changing here very shortly. And, another aspect for me has, is connecting with your body and also connecting with nature. There's people that are like afraid to go outside.
Right.
And then there's also this reminder of going outside, and you have to like put this mask on and do all this stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation of like how you have these things externally that are constantly going against like your intuition and what we're designed to do and how we're designed to connect. And
Mhm.
so having these types of conversations and having spaces and having an environment that really encourages and challenges and just creates opportunity to explore who you are and your connection to self is so important. It's so important because it's, there's always going to be something that's going against like that's creating this resistance, and just know that I think the biggest thing here is knowing that there is always an opportunity. There's an opportunity to go a different way. Tune into, well, what feels good in your body.
One of the things that has come up in the last week or so within my yoga study and teaching is the idea of ease. That's the goal, right? Like in any posture, in any meditation, in any breathing exercise, ease is what we're looking for, right? And to an extent, when you're in that like huddled space watching Netflix, there's probably, even though you're relaxed, there's probably not ease there, right?
That is so
Whereas when you are like up and lifted and long, there's a sense of ease. It's just like, oh, everything, all of my pieces and parts are where they want to be, and everything's fine. I'm at ease right now, and I this is still an emerging idea for me, but the idea that there's also the toxic positivity, right? And the toxic happiness. And it's not that everything's sunshine and roses. And I'm not saying that what we um, encourage folks towards is everything's great all the time. I love every part of my body. I think I'm awesome 24/7. I'm great. That's not ease either, right? That's not going to
right.
feel true. It's not going to feel comfortable. We want that place of, huh, okay, you know, I could do better at math. That's not my special skill yet, but that's okay. I do a lot of things that I'm pretty good at. That's cool. Like even that is a lot easier to say. It's a lot more comfortable, and encouraging that in ourselves, in our physical self, and in our mental self, and emotional self is a more realistic expectation than that. Like, just put a smile on it. Everything's great.
Yes, yeah. I'm very not the like, hey, let's smile at everything. I think, having the realistic expectation, and I talk about that a lot. It's like, it's okay to look at the things that you don't like and that you do like and that you are good at and that you're not good at. And it's not about, it's just an observation. It's like, this is what it is. And just to be like, that's where it is. You're not solely identified by your likes and dislikes. You're so much more than that. And what
Right,
you're good at or not good at, like, that's not all of who you are.
right.
And it circles back. No pun intended. That was so corny, but I had to do it. It circles back to personal empowerment.
Right.
And when you have a better understanding, and it's a lifelong process. It's a lifelong journey. Um, but the more you have that connection, it's like, yeah, like I don't like this, or I'm not that great at this, but that's okay. Like, because I know who I am, or I'm learning who I am. I'm always learning who I am. And I think that's the other thing. It doesn't, personal empowerment doesn't stop.
No.
Like, it doesn't end. There's not a cap to it. It's
No.
not like, oh, okay, I did this 6-week program and I am personally empowered and now I can move on about my day and I'm
Right.
good for life. No.
Right. I mean, some of the tools stay with you, right? So you could learn a tool and hold on to it, and that can be I have this tool and I am done. But I absolutely agree that the change is constant, partly because growth doesn't stop, and then also, and I keep I keep coming back to this, but those messages of the opposite don't stop.
Yeah, so true.
Right? So, we talk about that at Hip Circle. Like, you come to class, and inside Hip Circle, inside your little screen, it's you're gonna have this experience, right? Everybody who comes, you learn how to adjust your language. You learn how to, think positively of yourself and support your classmates, whatever. Like, that's happening in our space. But then you leave, right? And you go out into the world. You go to the grocery store and you see the ads on the magazines or whatever, and you interact with people who treat you a certain way because of whatever, and you get like chipped down by those things, and then you come back to class and you go, okay, all right, I'm a little bit stronger, I'm ready, and you go out again and you get chipped down. And so it's a gradual thing, and you're learning those tools that are going to make it so that when that person at the grocery store treats you in a certain way the third time, you're maybe going to respond differently and then come out of it feeling differently. So you are gaining that by being in the space and being in the community. But until we take over like a deserted island and make it Hip Circle Island, where everybody is completely on board with this removal of diet culture, and then we wouldn't be able to have any media on the island, and we could have books, but only
That would be
what I mean. Like, there's the
take me to this island.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But it's the messaging is relentless, and so we need to be constantly working on ourselves in order to withstand that pressure, that flow of
Absolutely.
pressure.
Love that. Well, it has truly been a pleasure to connect with you today. I would love for you to share how people can connect with you. I did mention that you are local, for those that are in Chicago or Evanston or in the Chicagoland area, but you are virtual as well. So, for anybody that might be interested in connecting with you and your programs, can you share more about that?
Sure. So the easiest one-stop option is to go to our website, which is hipcircle.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we on that website, we have our schedule, we have our blog, so you can see some of our thinkings. We have links to whatever our current initiative is as of right now, and I'm super excited. We just announced yesterday through the month of August 2021, for in case you listen to this in 2025 or something. We are pay what you can, meaning all of our classes range in price from as little as starting as $1. You can come to class. Our goal is to make everything that we do fully accessible. And so whatever our current initiative, you'll find on our website. We are pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. Hip Circle EC is our Instagram handle. And I think that's actually our Facebook handle as well. And we are in the process right now of publishing our first ever anthology of women's voices, and that will come out. I know, I'm so excited. That will come out in June with our 11th anniversary. It's June 1st. So we're publishing it in June. We're accepting submissions through the end of March. So that might have happened already by the time you listen to this, but you can order the book and support the project that way. And we are always, always, always open to donations, because that is what makes it so we can do this work in a way that dollars aren't a barrier to women accessing this space, this way of thinking and being. Um, the other thing is that if you are interested in bringing this style of work into your spaces, we have a teacher training program. And that is appropriate for fitness professionals, or if you are someone who's always wanted to get into teaching dance and fitness and didn't want to get into the grind of the culture of dance and fitness instruction. This is a way to do it in this way, this empowering way, instead. So those are the things we've got cooking right now.
I am excited about all the things that are coming up and just the things that you're doing in general. Have just really enjoyed this conversation, and I am really looking forward to continuing to support the work that you are doing. And I look forward to having you back on the podcast somewhere later on down the line as other things start to, hopefully, when this pandemic thing is over and we can, check out the place. I could be there in person. That would be amazing. It has truly been a pleasure, and thank you for connecting with me. I will be sure to link all of the information to connect with Malik and Hip Circle in the description below, so you can definitely see all the links there, and definitely check her out and everything that she has been doing, because it is amazing.
Thank
It has
you.
been a pleasure to connect with you. Any final words before we conclude?
Just that we are gonna keep shouting all of this stuff from the rooftops, and the more voices that are doing that, the better, out in the world, in your spaces, wherever you are. And I super appreciate you having me on and getting to talk about this stuff. I could talk about it literally forever. So I would love to come back and continue the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malik. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to connect with me on all the social media platforms: YouTube at Ujo Wadjet, Instagram at Fit Body Fit Spirit, and Facebook at Ujo Wadjet. And you can also connect with me on my website, ujowadjet.com. All the links for everything that we've talked about today and the ways to get in contact with myself and with Malik, and to tune into Hip Circle and all of the programs that are available will be linked in the description. And I will see you all on the next one.